Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm still Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. And today we're doing a preview of Rogue Angels Legacy of the Burning Suns. This game is a sci-fi style campaign legacy game.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, we are playing a assembled band of mercenaries.
Yes.
You're going to pick out a dossier. You're going to crack it open.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get all the goodies that come out of there. A character sheet with the asymmetric player powers, things like that. You're going to start on a more relaxed side where you're going to track your focus, your shields. Here's your little activation token. You're going to get a hand of cards, which are going to have abilities that you can do during your turn, because during your turn, you can take two actions. It can be playing a card. If you play the card, you're going to put it in. They've got numbers. So you're going to assign it to that spot on your player mat.
Or higher.
Or higher. Well, I was going to get to that. So if
bad.
I wanted to do another action that is the same number, I have to go higher. I cannot go lower. If I play one that's a 0, it basically comes right back to my hand. I just play it and it comes back immediately. Because as you, another one of your actions you can take is to rest, which then means I get to slide this card down my tableau, which means it is closer to coming back to my hand, because once it comes off, it comes back to my hand and I have access to it and can play it again. So you play two actions. You can play cards. You can rest, which will allow you to slide cards down your tableau. You could focus or concentrate, which will give you a focus. Focus will give you a reroll. Yeah, you gain 2 focus when you do that. But those are rerolls. So you can reroll 1 die per focus when you spend those. And you can spend as much focus as you want during your turn. And yeah, so it's play an action, concentrate, or rest. It's those things. Once you have done your actions, if there are enemies on the board, and there usually will be, the enemies are going to go. And depending on the campaign mission you're in, it's going to tell you basically what enemies go on the board and where they start. And they're going to be assigned basically red and yellow. And they're going to have a little initiative. This is prototype stuff, so it's hand drawn on there. So a 1 and we've just got 1s out for our example. But then what's going to happen is I take all my actions. The timer here slides down 1, and now the enemy is going to go. So that starts by, they've got a attack AI card, basically. You flip it over, and you're going to do that for the red or the yellow. So on this side, it's the red. So the red guy, the first red guy will move. He's going to attack the player. He's going to move towards the player with the least shields. And then on this one, he's going to attack all players within range. So each on these standees in this prototype, it says range, it has their movement, as their attack value, as shields, and it has their health, which is how much damage you must deal to them before they die. Their shields do not go away. That is a permanent 1 shield on this guy. So the first damage that you deal to him is always going to be absorbed by that shield, unless you have ways to deal unblockable damage, which then just goes through regardless. When they hit you, they always hit. There's no die roll or anything like that. They're just going to deal their damage value to you. First, your damage will be absorbed by the shields, and then if you don't have shields, for every other damage left, you're going to draw a wound card. Let's just grab a different one. Ah, look, a minor avulsion here, right? So this gets slotted into my 1 spot here. If I had a card that was in that location, it does bounce it back up to my hand, which is nice.
Sure.
But if there was nothing there, and that was still there, then it's just there.
Plugging up space.
And now I can't play a card in my 1 spot until I get rid of this or free this up. And then it's also going to have a thing that happens immediately. So like when you take the wound, right? So when drawn, move an action card 1 space to the right, and then place this card on 1. So I place this card on 1 because it has the number 1 there, but it also tells you there. But now it makes my jamming rifle slide down, and it's going to take longer. And if you want to make it even harder for yourself, you can play on hard mode. So now while this card is in your tableau, it has an ongoing ability. This one is I cannot gain shields. And then if we were playing on insane mode, it could have an ability when it's discarded. So if I were to rest, slide things down, this gets discarded, and then it could have another ability that it hits me with. Super interesting and very interactive. If you ever have 4 wounds, or you can't place a wound, you fall unconscious. And there are ways to revive people that are unconscious, but until then, you're out. Another really, really, really cool thing that this game does is your cards have actions on them, right? So when I play it, it's going to do a thing. It might have a die symbol on there, which will allow me to roll the die, and I'm going to apply that result. So this gave me 2 movement spaces. So even though this isn't a movement card, I now can move 2 before I do other things on this card. The other thing is there's numbers in brackets. So this is like deal 1 damage to an enemy within 5 range, or interact with an object for 1 within 5. Both of those numbers are in brackets. So if I rolled this, for example, this has a +1 and has a shield. I could choose to either add 1 to either the damage or the interact, or I could choose to take the shield. Right? There are +2s. There's just straight up +1s, straight shield.
I like to say, I like how it's the number in the brackets that you can adjust, right? So even though there's 4 numbers on there, when you roll that die, you know which one you can manipulate because it's always the one in the bracket.
The one in the
bracket.
Super
easy. It takes away any kind of ambiguity.
It's a fantastic balancing system.
And when you are playing on like a further down the line mission and you're out of sort of the training mode, there is a more sort of advanced version of your character sheet. You will have these options, the ability to get some of these tokens, which then, so this card has an extra, basically a +1 if I were to use a red token with it. Or if I were to use a blue token with it, it would give me 2 movement. So again, down the line gives you more options. Now it says interact with an object. So interacting with an object might be that we're trying to hack this console or unlock this door. So the interaction, again, these are prototypes. In the book, it is shown as tiles, but here it is these little guys. So let's just say I had an interact of 3. Let's say I rolled a +2, or so I would interact with an object. So I could 1 + 2, that gives me 3. That's how many tokens I'm going to draw out of this thing. So I drew 1. Let's see, I drew 2. Oh, hey, all right. And I drew a third one. So I need 3 matching tokens to successfully hack this console. But here's the really cool thing is I've already now got 2 on it. I'm going to choose one of these colors. I'm going to obviously choose the one I have 2 for. And now this console basically is 2/3 of the way hacked. So now on Dan's turn or Bob's turn, one of them could get over. Maybe they only get 1 interact. Well, now they drew a white one. Whites are wild. Boom. Done. This will come off and this comes off. And these stay out of the game for the rest of the mission. So the console's hacked. I get whatever it says. In the campaign book, it will guide you. It'll tell you what'll happen.
So then you're going to check the campaign mission, and it will update you like, oh, this has happened, and it gives you storyline, tells you maybe more guards are coming in. And that was one of the things that I was going to say that I really liked is how, depending on what's going on, all your AI has a ton of different like ways they're going to interact with you. Yeah, and that's super interesting to me. It's not just the same basic, generic, like, okay, we move attack. Okay, we move attack. Like, no, they are interacting differently depending on what's going on in the story.
And you can change course, right? Like let's say that we were drawing purple and we were keeping red, but now it's like, well, we're going to use the yellow ones now. Put these back. If you draw 2 white ones during your pull, during a single pull, you automatically fail. But there's a lot fewer white ones in here. So the ratio.
You pull them out one at a time too, right? And you can stop at any time. So if you pull out a white one, you might be like, I'm not going to push and pull out another white one because I don't want to crash the system.
Yeah, we're so 2/3 of the way done.
Yeah.
So and that's basically how you play when you deal damage to the enemies. There's going to be a little health tracker system. And
the damage sticks around.
And then when they're done, they're off the board. But that might mean that other enemies start to activate and do different things.
Correct.
And yeah, there's this whole big map book. This map book is gigantic. There's a whole chapter 1 campaign book. Thing is massive.
It is huge.
It does a really, really great job of laying out the story. And as you meet objectives, I just understood everything that happened.
I'll just show the last
and
page.
Yeah, right. But it makes setup so easy because you're going to have red lines, which will tell you that are like walls. There's gaps that are openings. But then like early on in a mission, this door may not even be an option. So it's not even going to be a door. It's just going to be a little tile that we'll put here that has a red line that continues through.
Makes the wall continuous.
This line of sight is super easy. They've got these little white dots. You just got to go dot to dot without crossing over a red line.
Yep.
If they keep that in the final production, that's great.
That's good.
Line of sight is very easy. Movement's very straightforward. It's orthogonal, diagonal.
Yep.
Same thing with adjacency. And again, the rule book does a very good job of giving you examples on like how all of this stuff works. Because I think we even were like, oh, can I move diagonal through this door? Blah, blah, blah. And like Dan's like literally 30 seconds later, here's a picture saying you can do that.
Yeah.
Boom, done. I mean, it was great. They did a really good job. I think I've basically covered most of the rules. I'm sure there's a few things here and there. But what did you guys think of Rogue Angel's Legacy of the Burning Suns?
Would you like to go first, Bob?
Go for it, Dan.
Okay. I don't like using this term because it sounds like hyperbolic and exaggerated and everything like that, but this game kind of blew my mind. I played a lot of games like this. Not like this exactly, but like, dungeon crawl, cooperative, stuff like that. And I like them. I like Descent. I like Imperial Assault. I like other ones. And somehow this one has left its mark. I mean, I think that Rogue Angels is knowingly entering a saturated market, and somehow it's showing that it has the potential to be a real gem here. Like, not just good, but like great. You've got a fantastic character progression system teased here in this prototype with level ups and with new cards and abilities added, and with whatever that's called,
The
reputation,
dossier. Yeah.
with reputation, relationships with different people. So like, slight spoiler, I guess, but like, I saw something at one point that said basically, hey, were any characters of X faction injured last game, their relationship with you goes down because you didn't like stop that from happening, right? Ooh boy, the repercussions that can give to a story-based game is awesome. This card system is one of the funnest things I've done in a while. Having this hand of cards that you're having to play down that are then slowly sliding to the left, which is like healing, I guess, right, when you're resting, but then having to play them. And so my character, too, you all have asymmetric abilities on top of that. So to explain how cool the card system can be, I like using my character as an example because it ties so well together. So my character could use our focus points at the beginning of my turn before any actions happen. I can pick a card and slide it one to the left or right. That's incredible for a couple reasons. First of all, you slide a card to the left and you're healing faster than normal people would. You have like an accelerated healing built in like that. Also, though, I have a drone that I want to stay out. So I can slide that card to the right, making it stay out longer because it gives me a passive ability if it's out. Okay, that's really cool. Also, let's say I have a 2, a 3, and a 4 down, and I want to play a 2. Okay, well, I can't because it has to go on either its number or higher. But at the start of my turn, if I know I want to play the 2, I could slide my 2 down to the 1 spot, healing me, while at the same time opening me up to play a card this turn. And now I'm full, so next turn, my second action might be Concentrate, to gain 2 focus, to next turn at the start of my turn, slide a card to the left, basically healing twice in 1 turn. That stuff can get crazy. The card, but I can only slide action cards. So it's also interesting because that then plays into damage as well. So if I take a damage on my 3 and I have a card in my 1, and I have a card in my 2 that I want to slide, I can't because it can't slide to the 1 slot because it's taken, and it can't slide to the 3 slot because there's an injury there that I can't move. That injury is going to be slowly moving to the left, stopping my sliding potential. Mm-hmm. All of that I just explained is just me trying to play 1 card due to 1 character's ability. You imagine everything else that's going on here. This card system is fantastic. It's the highlight of the game for sure. There's a lot of good stuff here, but that's the thing that I'm going to be telling people about. Oh, have you played Rogue Angels? Yeah, it's a really cool, campaign sci-fi game. It's got, leveling up characters. The card system is fantastic. Yeah. That's going to be a thing going on. I really like the balancing that Bob mentioned earlier with the dice, because you can have cards that are weaker but roll dice and cards that are stronger but don't. That's a balancing mechanic already. But then on top of that, you can have numbers that you don't want mitigated due to game balance. So my character had a gun that did 4 damage. It'll always do 4 damage, and then depending how far away the enemy is, it'll change. But you cannot mitigate that with dice. Even though the card lets you roll like maybe 2 dice, those will not be mitigated. The reason for rolling the dice on those cards is because they might give you free movement. So that's another thing. You might have a card that's not very useful. Okay, this one gives me a 1 interact, and that's all this card does, just as an example. Okay, well, that's not great, but it lets me roll 3 dice. I should point out this card does not exist. I'm making this up. But it lets me roll 3 dice. Okay, this card just became really good because what if for my first action, I just need to sprint really far? I'll play this card. Maybe I'll interact, but the first thing I'm going to do is roll 3 dice and see if I get a bunch of free movement out of it. Out of that movement, maybe this interact card is now really good because I can interact with the mission objective. Or also, maybe I'm now close enough that my next card that is a melee damage is good now. You know, like that dice mitigation system is fantastic going on here. I cannot wait to use the upgraded actions. We have not gotten to a point in the story when you use that yet. Also, developers have something to where when you're lining those up in the bottom and they're in your thing, they kind of like proc ability somehow. I don't care if it's an arrow going or if it color matches or something.
Right.
Talk to me. I'll come up with something. It's
Color
such
will-
a good idea.
Color will
Yeah.
never match because they're laid out like they're laid out here.
Okay, sure.
Well,
they don't
won't
have
match,
to be.
But they don't have to.
I'm just saying,
So,
it's a
this-
prototype. They don't have
this
to
one
be.
match with the other one, and then you get an ability.
I'm also just saying these could be randomized. They do not
That's
have
true,
to match
too.
that. But anyway, that's just a really cool thing that while we were laying our cards, we're like, oh, these look really pretty. What if they like procced each other?
Yeah.
It'd be cool. But you have a fantastic, solid game here. If you guys like campaign, cooperative games that have it says somewhere in the rulebook, or it might be in your dossier thing, that's what I'm calling it, that missions will have characters making decisions because of how the story's going. If you like that kind of stuff, I think Rogue Angels, again, is going to be a gem when this thing hits full release. This thing has insane potential off of what I've seen off it so far, and everything that I've read ahead on only looks like it gets better. Check out Rogue Angels. I will let Bob talk now and interrupt him later.
Yep. Okay. So first, my slight nitpick. I mean, I know it's prototype, but I will point out the red wall lines, super difficult for me to see. They could be a little bolder or something else to kind of like, differentiate
And that's
them.
more of a colorblind.
And that's more of a
issue, right?
colorblind thing. Then, yeah, they didn't have much of an issue with it. I had a hard time with it. But like I said, prototype, not dinging it for here. Just want to point it out, and that hopefully that can be rectified. But other than that, yes, I love this card system where the cards are like resting and coming down. To me, it's like a cross between like Arc Nova, where you're kind of letting stuff build up, and then Steampunk Rally, where you have to like let all the steam out to reduce those things. So the cards are kind of working in that reverse fashion, so you can get them back and reuse them, and I think that's super cool. I love this style for the AI, because so many of these games, the AI just operates off one basic set of rules. They're doing the same thing every time, makes it super easy to kind of game that system, and I don't care for it. But there was a section here where like at first the guards are all standing, they're doing things, and then like, oh my gosh, something happens, they know what they're doing, they're on point, they're on duty, they know what's going on, and then we take care of them, we kind of move on to the next spot, and all of a sudden like, okay, well here come the reinforcements, but that's chaos. And so you're going through and you're like, okay, so it's not a coordinated attack, now it's a chaotic attack, and then their actions are all going to vary depending on what they're doing and where you're at in this scenario. And I just find that super interesting, a nice way to take the AI and almost add that human element to it, to where they're not just going to do the same things all the time. Depending on what's going on in the situation, there should be different types of reactions and different types of like emotions or things feeding into it for them as well, and that just really humanizes the AI for me.
It's also super interesting because you're talking about that so they took away that kind of gaminess you're talking about to make it more like this, but at the same time they added this interesting gaminess to it, to where we know, okay, on Bob's turn, yellow's gonna go.
Right.
So on Tim turns, red is, or whoever's next, red is gonna go.
Right.
And that's a really interesting
We should try to attack that
spatial
person
thing.
before they try to go.
So.
Yeah. So there was a different type of game.
And then if
put in
there's
there.
not like let's say we killed all the red guys, there's only yellow guys, then the card stops flipping.
Right.
And it's just the yellow.
And they
But
keep
it does
going.
it does add to that level of tactical strategy,
Right.
while making the mission feel so thematic.
Yes.
Like really, I mean, like just really thematic. They just did a really good job with that. Please continue.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I know you're good. And then like, look at inside this book, like, and it tells you like a little backstory. So, like why your person is here, why you join with the mercenary crew. You all have your different like motivations going on. And then it's not just like what decisions that you guys make throughout the mission, but how well you did in the mission, or did you fight these guys? Did you help these guys? And like how many people died or how many people got hurt, like Dan said, and that can have an effect and make them happier or less happy with you. And that's just a super interesting, like, it's everybody's just like, oh, you completed this mission. Good job. Okay, well, you get this. It's like, no, how well did you do in this mission?
Right.
There's a lot more nuance in there because it is, life is nuanced, right? I'm excited to see how these extra abilities will build into that or what cards that you can unlock to use, because I'm sure like those, cause that's this is what do they call it? What do you call it? Sign.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're calling it.
That's what we're calling it. But even like her whole thing is like find the target, eliminate it, upgrade, find a new target. Like, and so I'm excited to see how they upgrade and what becomes of that, because that's exciting. I love leveling up type of.
Well, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. This game's amazing. This game is so satisfying.
Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off one more time.
Oh,
one
Lord.
more. Yeah. Well, I would say one more time. That was the first time I've cut you off. I cut Dan off earlier. But no, like I love this book of maps. We talked about this earlier. How like we play a lot of these games. It's like, okay, I need a tile 13B. I need tile 12A. This, and it's a lot of modularity, which is cool in its own right? Because you can make a very unique kind of a board. But this makes setup so much easier. It's like, oh, flip to this map. There it is, and it's ready to go. And like I've played probably 3 or 4 games now that have like map books like this, and I really do appreciate that element.
They're always a highlight in the game they're in.
Yep.
Literally always. My Father's Work comes to mind. Forgotten Waters, which only
Yep.
I've played, comes to mind. There's always a highlight. So
Yeah.
You good?
All right, you can go.
All right, yeah.
Wait.
This game rocks.
Yeah.
This game kicks ass. They've done a great job. We play a lot of this style of games. I love this style of game, but the barrier to entry on this one, in opposed to like a very popular fantasy theme one that does very well, the barrier to entry here is so low. The rules teach is so easy, but there's so much depth and strategy in the mechanics that it is still very satisfying. But I could introduce this game to a lighter weight gamer very easily. Like I wouldn't throw somebody that's relatively new to games into Gloomhaven. I just wouldn't. I think the rule set is way too complex.
It is. I tried.
Right? But this style of game, the teach was so easy, so smooth. And then it was even easier because we've all played this style of games before. So conceptually, we already understood a lot of the mechanics anyways. But this card system and this the AI for the enemies and the wound system, so cool. I love the way it works. It just blew me away. I thought it was great, and I really appreciated all of that. Again, the map book, freaking fantastic. The campaign book, man, I cannot wait to see what the final version of all this stuff looks like. The way that you have got these little dossiers for your characters, like in the prototype, for example, we just pull out an envelope, you open it up, and you pull out all the stuff for it. And like, how exciting will that be to like get even more stuff, right? Or like, well, try it, because they do say when you go through other missions, well, grab a character you haven't used yet. You know what I mean? So you're really going to start going through, cycling through, try some other things.
Okay.
Now the prototype only came with 4, so I mean that would be very limited with what we were doing, but just even that possibility, right?
I really like the idea. I don't know if they're going to do it in a game like this with this card system. I like the idea of like the Bloodborne board game does this some, right? To where I have my cards, and as I'm leveling up, I'm getting more cards. And the beginning of a mission, though, it says, hey, choose 8 cards.
Right.
Or something,
Oh,
right?
right?
And so I'm building this deck, basically, each time. I don't know if they want to... I do not know if that's going to be part of the game.
Right.
I can just see the potential of that kind of system in a card system like this.
Right, but if it's like, hey, take 8 cards.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, it would just be interesting because, okay, well, I can't take too many 3s.
Right.
Right? Because they're
Right.
going to be blocking themselves
Right.
kind of thing. Like,
Plugging it up.
I can just see
Yeah.
potential there. So.
Nice. That
Yeah,
would be cool. Yeah.
they have set themselves up very well, very well. This is a very well-designed game. I cannot wait to see this thing kick butt because, yes, like Dan said, there's a million of these style of games, but this does so many things so well and in such a unique way that it way stands out above the herd. It really does. This could very quickly become my favorite campaign-style game. And I really do like these a lot. Like, I just don't always have the time for them. But this is one that, like, demands that you make time for it because it's so easy to play. And it was so much fun and so thematic. And the story's really interesting. I love it. I mean, there is a legacy game, which I won't mention, where I think that the gameplay is very interesting and the mechanics are fun, but I hate the story.
The
I think
storyline was bad. I know what you're talking
the
about.
storyline sucks. I was not feeling that in here at all. I feel like the writing for the story is really good. I feel like the actions you're taking feel very consequential as you're going through, right? And I cannot wait to see how consequential.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got for this. I love even the tile drawing like out of the bag. Can you imagine if there's other aspects to building the bag?
Sure.
Or
Building
putting
a
in
bag.
like traps?
Yeah.
into the
Oh,
bag?
like I got this hack skill. Add a couple extra of these to the bag.
No, there's a whole thing you can do. Again, they have the groundwork to so many incredible mechanisms in the game, and some of them are already incredible, right? Like the car system, but it's still a foundation for an even more incredible car system. They have so many good ideas here.
They are really, really potentially like breaking the mold and setting a new bar for a legacy style campaign game with the things that they have added.
Right.
And again, the sky's kind of the limit, right? I mean, with like what you could build on this, there's just so many different things you could do.
And inside on these for the prototype, it has prototype notes. It does say they're gonna have re-adhesive upgrade stickers. So you would think you'd be able to just pull those stickers back off and then play again. Yeah, and if not, you just get like another one of these dossiers to put stickers in.
A recharge pack would be be really easy because it's just new dossiers for your characters or whatever. But anyways, guys, anything else for Rogue Angels before we sign off?
Once available, at least the link will be in the description for this video. I just truly suggest checking it out. I wasn't sure what I was going to walk into with this. It looked cool, but I just didn't know what about it, and I left saying this game is going to leave marks. Like this is going to send waves throughout if not the whole industry, right? At least the dungeon crawl aspect. I mean, people are going to be talking about this game. I think it's really good.
This is one of the best prototypes that we've had come across our table. Yeah. I mean,
is that what this is?
Just with all the potential of it though, right? And everything, like the excitement that we all have like built into this. And I think even some of the other people in our game groups that aren't as like, well, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be very easy to get them drawn in because again, the rule set is very easy to learn. And then all of the choices are so interesting and it will keep you there. So anyways, I'm just really excited about this. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. All right, guys. I guess that's enough for the Love Fest over Rogue Angels.
Great job.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right, guys. For the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Dan.
Thanks for watching.